In this session, we're going to go over most all of the features and functions in T6. Now, during the course of this, there'll be times where I may pause a little bit and some stuff because I'm going to actually end up breaking this video up into sections and integrating it into the online help. But to start with, once we have T6 Pro installed and we're up and running, the first thing that you want to do is go into the company setup up here, and you're going to set in your company information. So we have here our company name, address, city, state, zip, phone number. If you got a fax, you can put that in there. Email address that you want to use for your company, the website if you want to put that in there. Calendar, you've got a choice between Zoho and Google, and this is used when you want to export schedules out to one of the calendars. You also have the option to set that the company is in Canada. When you do that, that changes some of the labeling. It also when you go into the company in Canada, it adds some additional tax options because of the way that sales taxes and stuff are set up in Canada. You also have the notify of updates. What this does is if you click that, then every time that T6 starts, it will check to see if there's an update. So you won't have to do it manually. The show news basically is on the main menu coming in. Occasionally we put out different news updates about the program, and if you show news, those will show on the front main menu over here. Let's just click over on the main menu. But we also have a button here. So right now we're not showing the news, but if we clicked on the button, it would show the news and change to hide news, and then we can go back to show the news. So let's go back over to the company. The no login is checked in this, and when that is checked, T6 will not run you through the login process coming into it, and it will automatically log you in as administrator. The backup on exit basically runs the backup utility every time you exit the program. And run maintenance on startup, it basically goes through and checks the file indexes, things like that, every time the program starts up. So if you want that option, check that. And if you do have a backup on exit, you can actually specify a backup path, and then that way it won't ask you where you want the backups to go. The final little bit of information here is you can put a logo. When you click on this, it'll bring up this little icon to the side. You can click on that and navigate out and find your logo image to put in there. So once we have our company information in here, we're going to go ahead and click Save. And then we can exit out of that. We really don't need to go back to the company setup unless we want to make changes in that. The next piece of information that needs to be set up has to do with basically configuring T6 to price the way you want to. So one of the places that we would want to go start with that is over in the garment catalog. So we're going to click on the garment catalog. And when we come into here, let me just find something that's got a lot of information in here. We're going to go to PC61, and this is the PC61 from Sanmar. Now, most of this base information is already in there. You don't need to change that. You may want to verify the pricing because this is generic pricing provided by the particular vendor. Your price may or may not be the same as this, so you may want to verify it. But for most people, using their generic wholesale pricing will work just fine. one of the things that we have in here is you'll see here, a use margin. Now, T6 is one of the few programs out there that can calculate either using markup or margin. When we use the margin here in the garment catalog, it only applies to any of the base markup percentages that we might want to apply to a style in the garment catalog. It doesn't apply anywhere else in the program. So if we click use margin here, we're going to tell T6 that on this particular style item, we're going to we want to use margin instead of markup when we calculate the base markup in percentages. And I'm going to explain that, how this works out. So we come down here, we've got here in our whites group, we have extra small through extra large sizes, and we have a price of $1.76. And if we come over here to the base price to customer, you will also notice that we have $1.76. So we're not applying any markup or margin or increases on the item at this point. Now, a lot of people will go ahead and leave it like this, and which basically tells T6 that we're going to start with this $1.76. The thing to remember here is that whatever is in the base to customer fields, that's the value that T6 uses to start when it's calculating pricing out there. Now, we can apply additional markup and margins by the matrix, but if we wanted to bump a particular item up in here, let's just say that you wanted to get a little bit more profit off of hoodies than you did off of t-shirts, then we could go through and select our hoodie styles and we could apply that in there. But just for to show you how this works, if I'm going to put in a 30% here on the whites group, then we're going to see that all of the values in the whites group have now changed. So what we've done is we've applied a 30% markup to the whites, to this $1.76, and we come up with $2.29. If I change it to margin, you're going to see that it now changes to $2.51. Okay, because margin is calculated different than markup. So we've got basically an understanding of what these percentages do in here. For our examples and going through what we're doing here, we're going to leave these set at 0 because we're going to apply whatever markup or margin that we want. We're going to apply that based on what we tell it to do in the matrices. You can also put in a estimated shipping per item. Typically, if you're having to pay shipping, depending on the how far it's coming across the country to get to you, it's probably going to cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 cents, thereabout, per item to have it shipped to you. So if you want to recoup that cost, we would put like 0.25 in there, and what that'll do is it'll add 25 cents to each of your cost values, and then subsequently put that information over here in the whites, lights, and darks. There again, we're not going to do that in here. And to use your cost plus shipping basically just tells it that that's all you want to do. You want to take your cost here and use the shipping on it. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of here. But like I said, the basic understanding is that these percentages that you put in these fields right here increase these amounts as they come over here to the whites, lights, and darks base to customer. And just remember, the base to customer is the starting value that will be used in all the calculations that go on. In our examples, as we go through this, we're going to be just using it straight across, so the base to customer is going to be the same as our cost, and we're going to apply all markups or margins to that based on the information that we have in the matrix. And now that we've gone through the garment catalog and we've made whatever settings that we want in there, or left it how it came, the next step that we need to do to configure how we're going to price is to go into what's called the matrix. So we're going to go into the matrix. Now the matrix, you can have as many of these as you want. The requirement is that the name up here must be unique. In other words, you cannot have two matrices named retail, for example. There must be some difference between it, so we could call it retail 1, retail 2, whatever, as long as those names are different. As we come down into the actual matrix setup, and for those of you that are not familiar with a matrix is basically just think of it as a spreadsheet layout, because that's basically what it is. And where we're saying that if we have a quantity between a certain numbers, that this is what we're going to charge to put, one color on it, 2 color, 3 color, whatever. So in this particular one here, we have the first line 1 to 11. We have no values up there. What we're telling T6 is that we do not offer decoration for screen printing on anything less than 12, which starts in the line 2. And so that's from 12 to 24 shirts. We're telling T6 that we want to charge $1.35 to put 1 color on it. We have $1.90 to put 2, $2.55 put 3, and so on. And as we come down this matrix, you're going to notice a stair step a little bit right here, 1 step. So on this first one, again, we're saying that the quantity of 12 to 24, we will not print anything over than 6 colors on it. If you want more than 6 colors, you're going to purchase more shirts. So that's what we're telling T6 how we want to calculate this. So as we come down each one of these, we put in the value of how much that we want to charge to put that amount of ink colors on those shirts based on the quantities. Now, as we come across, remember in the garment catalog I was telling you about, you could apply markup or margin there to start an increase on the garment, but we can also do it in the matrix. So in the matrix here, we've got this set, and these are, you'll notice it says margin here because I've got I've got it left to use margin. And 50% margin is basically the same as 100% markup, for those of you that do not know the difference. So what we're doing is we're saying right here on our 12 to 24 that we want to take the garment and we want to mark it up. We want to apply a 50% margin or 100% markup in this case to the garment, and then we're going to add the values across here based on the number of colors that are applied on it. So we're going to increase the cost of the garment to the customer, and then we're going to add the decorating cost. That's the concept that you need to remember here. The other thing that you'll notice in this particular one, it says colors on whites and lights, colors on darks. Some shops, this is the way that they price. Some of them use first location, additional location. So if you're going to use that, you just check this. You'll notice it changes the labels up here. And what T6 will then do is when you're calculating over in the estimates, it will find the first area if you don't tell it which one is going to be used as the first location, and it will find the first location that has decorating specs on it, and it will use the top part of this matrix, and then all of the other locations it will use the additional. Some companies do this because they want to give a little discount on, like if you're printing the front and the back, so one of those sides will get a slight discount on the decorating. It does not affect the margins. The margins or markups are always the same between the top and the bottom matrices. So there again, first print location, additional print location. This can be set up in there, or you can go ahead and just say use the colors on whites and lights, which it's in one of those two groups is going to use the top. If it's on a dark group garment, it's going to use the bottom. It's either way you want to do that. Your fees, the screen charges, if you're going to charge screens fees, you can put that in there. You can also put film. And this is your cost, and then down here the bill rate. So what we're saying here, and I know this is probably a little high for some people, but we're saying that we're going to charge $38 a screen and film 0, and we're going to charge 25 cents per flash. So we've got this basic setup in here. This is the information right here that will be used when T6 is calculating out. The other thing that we're going to touch base on in here is the in-house decorating. Okay, you'll notice it's checked. What this does is this tells T6 that these values over here, this $1.35, $1.90, $2.55 is exactly what we want to charge. So we're not going to increase the cost of those. You would uncheck this in-house decorating. You would uncheck that if, let's just say that you were contracting out the printing. You had some other printer that was going to print the items for you, and they had given you their pricing to print, and you had put that pricing in the matrix, and you want to make a profit off of what they're charging you, then we would uncheck the in-house decorating, which in case that T6 would then assume that you are contracting this out to another printer to print it, and you want to make a profit off of what they're charging you. If that's the case, then it's also going to apply this markup or margin percentage here to these values out here, along with that of the shirt. And just so, to show you, if I tell it to use markups, you'll see that the values or the labeling here has changed to markup instead of margin. The markup and margin tab in here is just basically these percentages here and percentages here, exactly what over on those screens. And it's just got some table information in here. A couple of the same check boxes that you'll see out on the others. Those are all tied together. If you change them on one tab, it'll change them on the other one. And so we also have tabs for embroidery, DTG. And the one thing that's a little different on the DTG is we have on light shirts, on dark shirts, and we can key in the base print sizes that we would be doing on that, our quantities, and the charges. So it's similar to the screen printing, only we're using sizes instead of amount of color. And we can go out and put as many of those as we want on there. Same thing on the embroidery, we're using stitches, stitch counts, and we can build our matrix that way. So that's basically it on the screen printing matrix and the other matrices in here. I'm not going to click on this and go through this right now, but we also export to HTML so that this works on the screen printing matrix only. It basically allows you to create a HTML file that you can then insert somewhere on your website if you want to show people pricing based on deals for decorating. It won't show them how much it's going to cost them for the shirt, but some sites they show you a grid out there, and so this is basically what the export to HTML would allow you to do. So you wouldn't have to recode all this into an HTML document to insert your website. Okay, now that we've got the basics set up on our pricing through the garment catalog and also the matrix, I'm going to go step briefly into the customers area. This is where you would store information about your customers so that T6 could then actually retain history on those customers. So we're going to go into the customers, and I'm going to go over some brief explanations in here. Again, you can have as many customers as you want in here. The internal ID up here, you cannot change. Really means nothing to you. It's only in there because I have some customers using T6 that came in from another program, and they just kind of want to know that. So that's why it's shown there. It really means nothing. The customer ID you will assign. There again, these must be unique. No two customers can have this customer number. And this can be an alphanumeric, so it can be just a plain number, it can be a plain word, it can be a combination of letters and numbers, as in this case we have demo 2. The country, USA, and then we put the first and the last name of the person that we would normally deal with over there. The company name, email address, phone, tax rates, sales rep if there is one, customer language, English. We can assign a credit rating if we want. We have a billing address, and we have a shipping address. The other thing that we have is that we have the contacts. Now, contacts, if we have multiple contacts at a company. So in this case, we have Jones Designs, and we come over here, and we'll see here is Joan Jetson, which is our primary contact there. And we also have Judy Jetson, George Jetson, and Jane Jetson. So we have those in here. Now, if we want to come in here and select any of these and apply different defaults out here, let's just take, let's go to Jane. And we're going to go to Jane. We go to the full editor. This brings up Jane Jetson. We have the contact name in here, and then we have the company. Now the company is Jones Designs in this case, but let's just say that we wanted to say that Jane Jetson over at Jones Supplies worked in a specific department. We could then key in Jones Designs and department, and it would then allow us to utilize that information. And you'll see as we go through some other stuff a little later in the video where this all comes into play. And we go ahead and we have the first name and the last name. These fill in the email address. Typically, unless there's going to be different shipping addresses or billing addresses, things like that, we're not going to change anything, because anything you change in here or add in here will then be picked up if we specifically specify this contact as who we're doing business with at that company. And here, the main thing that we would be changing across this, because in these examples, everything else is going to remain the same. The only thing we're going to change is their names and their email addresses. We're going to go ahead and exit out of that. So we have the contacts in here. We go to Doe's Wholesale. You see Doe only has an additional one in here of Jane. And we'll see how these figures come into play as we start putting in invoices. So we're going to go ahead and get out of this, and we're going to go into the order estimates. Okay, now let's go ahead and go into the order estimates, because once you've got your setup done, you're going to spend probably most of your time in this screen. Now, when we came in here this time, you'll notice that it immediately popped up for a customer. It wants us to select the customer, and the reason it did this is there are no existing quotes or jobs in the system, so it's basically telling us that we want to put a new. Once you have some in, when you open this screen, it will go to the last one and sit there. It will not automatically pop up the customer. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select our demo to customer Jones Designs, and we're going to click OK. And you'll notice that it went ahead and put this in here. We've got Jones Designs, Jones Design email, and we've got the information about Joan in there. So we've got the base information to start with. If we wanted to change the contact, we could come in here and select a different contact. Then it would change whatever information that we had for that contact. It would change it on here. And they're good. But in this case, we're just going to keep it at Joan. Now, to start off, we need to come in here and we need to select the matrix. So we're going to select our retail matrix. We also need to select a garment vendor. And then once we've done that, we're going to start keying in our styles. So we selected a PC61. Color is basically optional. This is not required that it's put in there. But we're going to go ahead. It will show up on the invoices or estimates on the color if you have it in there. And not all vendors have the available colors entered into the system, and you may have to manually enter those in. This is due to what information that the particular garment vendor provides. Sandmar provides way more information than most of the other ones, so that we do have that information in here. The group, you have to select one of the groups. And if you remember when we were back over on the garment catalog, we had the deal. So in fact, let's just go back over there. Let's just go back to the garment catalog and let's go to the PC61 because that's the one we're using. And you'll notice over here that we have the whites, lights, and darks. Okay, and we have this prices, the base prices. And if you remember, that's where I told you to start. So we have to select the group. We're going to go ahead and select the darks group because black would be a dark. Now when we come across here, we got extra small through all the way to X6. Just like the way that the vendor prices you stuff, T6 also requires that you enter the information in that format as far as what can be included under one pricing. So we have extra small through extra large. You can put values in here for extra small, small, medium, large, and you can have that in there. So I could come in here and say you're going to get 10 small and 15 large. But it's not going to allow me to start to put any information in these because it sees values down here. And the reason is that X2, X3, X4, and so on up to X6, each of those values are required to be on a separate line. That's because the vendor charges you different. They charge you so much for an X2, so much for X3 and stuff. So each one of those needs to be on a separate line. So if you're trying to come across here and you go, well, it won't allow me to enter X2, well, that's because you've got values in somewhere in the extra small through extra large. The extra small through extra large, typically the vendors charge you the same price all the way across it, and that's why you can put values in it. So we've got that. Let's just come down here. We're going to do a PC 54 now, and we're going to basically, let's just do a white, and that's going to be the whites, and in this case we're going to put 5 in there. So we've got that. Now these values here, you'll see the 562, 564, those are based off the base price. Let's go back to the catalog. Off these base prices to customer, plus the increase, in this case margin, that we're adding to those. And so we've already, this is showing you the marked up value of that garment to the customer. And we haven't applied any decoration to it. So we're going to go ahead and apply decoration to it at this time. And we come over here, and there again, we've got, in this particular case, we come back to the matrix. We're using the retail. We're using colors on whites, colors on darks. So in that case there, we're not using the first location, the second location, so there's no options to pick that. There would be some check boxes out here if you wanted to do that, and you had that set up to where it was first location, additional locations. But in this case, it's not. So we're going to go ahead and put two colors on the front. And you'll notice now that the red calculate button has come up in here. We have also the option to roll in the setup fees. And what this will do is it'll take those screen charges and it will roll them in. In other words, it's going to say you've got X amount of garments, and we're going to divide whatever that is across it. So in this case, we have 30 garments. And it's going to divide that across there if we roll that setup fee in. If we don't, it's going to line item it. We can also waive the setup fees. And then here's the number of flashes. Okay, so if we wanted to set up the number of flashes that we were going to use, how many times we're going to have to flash to do that, then we could charge that 25 cents for each one. And there again, this was based on what's in the matrix that we told it we were going to charge 25 cents per flash. So we've got this base information in here. We can then apply artwork if we want. If we want to attach artwork to it, we can come out here, and I've got a lot of stuff in here, so just bear with me. And we're going to select PNG, and let's just select the front of the shirt there. So we're going to put that in there, and we've got that. We could select the location if we want, just so it's labeled. So we've got this information in here. We can put comments and scheduling. We won't go over that in this video. So we've got our decoration of two colors, and we've got it on 30 shirts, so we're going to now calculate. And our calculated information comes up to charge them $6.82, and you'll notice down here $76 in screen charges. That's because we were at a $38 per color, and we didn't roll in. We're going to go ahead and roll those in and recalculate that just to make sure. And now you'll see that it's taken the screen charges off, it's rolled them in, and we have $9.35 each for that. Now it's a quote right now, so it's showing a balance of 0 on that. So this is customer of Jones Design. So if I come back over to my customers and I go to Jones Designs, we're now going to see that we have information here. It's saying that we have a quote because it's saying is it an invoice? No. Order number 1007, total of $294.63, and some information there. So we're going to start building information about what's going on with this particular customer. Every time that we add something, we tie it to that customer. This particular history is going to start to build there. So we're back over to this. At this particular point, we have a lot of options up here. We can print, we can duplicate if it's going to be a reorder. We can, if it's teens, we can put names and numbers. We can do an artwork approval form. We can do a work order, which is basically something that would be used out in the press room for them to do. We can also associate payments with it. We can void the job if we decide we need to void it. But let's just say that we've gone through everything and Joan has approved this. So we're going to click this set to job invoice. We've got it. Now it says job. And over here in the company, we have label invoices job. That's why it picked up and stayed job there. Some people want it to say invoice, some people want it to say job. So we have a job in there. If we then come to print, we're given the option to show the style, hide the style, or print a packing slip. We're going to hide the style. And now we've come up with the information in here. It shows the Port & Company Essential T-shirt, 10 small, 15 large, color black, price each extended. And then we have our white shirt, which is the 2X. So it's 5 2Xs and 937 each. We come down, here's our taxes. Everything else is on there. This time we can either save it out to PDF, or if you have the email set up in T6, you can send it via email to the customer. But that's basically it on this particular one. I'm not going to go into all these other features in here. Otherwise, we would be at a 2 or 3 hour video. But this is the basics that we have in here. We're going to go back to the main menu. If we come in here, a lot of you are going to go, what's this shop detail? This is for people that want to have something out in the shop. This would be on a screen here, and it's going to tell us that we can set this to whatever we want. In here, we can come here and change the ink color, the flat, how many strokes we want to put on it, everything else, left chest, 4%. This basically just tells the shop, if they're out there looking at the screen, what they need to do to print that. Some of you will use this screen, most of you won't. So we're going to go back to the menu here, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this particular video up. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cover one other thing, the QPE. QPE is basically quantity pricing estimates, and this is where you can set up if somebody says, well, I want to know how much it's going to cost me if I buy this, 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 and this. And this basically just generates a rough idea of estimates. We all know that as quantities change, if they get in the middle and stuff like this, and you're rolling in fees and stuff, that some of the values will change. But basically, it's just going to we're gonna not show style numbers. I'm going to come over here, and it basically is telling them, in this case, through the information that we put in there, that if you get 12, it's going to be $9, or 12 to 25. If you get, or 24, if you get 25, it's going to go to $7. So that's just something quick, and there it also stores that information in for the customers, so that you'll know if you ever gave them a quantity estimate. So we're going to go ahead and call this video segment done, and we'll cover some of the more in-depth details and stuff in some future videos. But this should give you a basic idea of what you need to do to set up T6 and how to initially start using it.